They say that rapid compost requires machines, drums, temperature sensors, but one forgotten material from each house topped them all. Not a device, not chemistry, just cardboard soaked, layered, and alive. Gardeners saw harvests 40% faster, and soil infested with worms. The secret is not what the cardboard adds, but what it holds. This humble recycled sheet does what advanced systems cannot. Layers like lasagna, greens, browns, water, and air build a living sponge. No containers turning over, expensive tools. Just a piece of land, old boxes, and a method so simple that it seems like a hoax. Today, we'll reveal how soaked cardboard outperforms high-tech composters. In a quiet corner of the city, a group of volunteers decided to test whether this strange, low-tech method could really change the way we grow food. 12 raised beds stood side by side, each measuring 1 meter 20 by 2 meters 40. 6 were built the old-fashioned way, rich compost from drums, carefully turned and measured. The other 6 followed the cardboard lasagna method exactly as described. Soaked boxes, kitchen scraps, alternating green and brown layers 45 centimeters high. Sunlight, watering, and soil were kept identical. No extra fertilizer, no hidden benefits. Just a fair comparison of 2 composting approaches. By mid-season, the difference became impossible to ignore. Tomatoes in cardboard beds grew taller, bore fruit earlier, and produced an average of 10 kilograms per bed versus 7 from drum composters. Bush beans produced 4 kilograms, 600 grams versus 3 kilograms, 200 grams, and heads of lettuce, 45 pieces versus 32. Each harvest was weighed, recorded, and inspected by the garden manager and her volunteers. Numbers may measure yields, but what was happening beneath the surface told a deeper truth. A hidden system more alive than any compost bin could ever recreate. Organic matter in the cardboard beds jumped from 2% to 3.5%, almost double that of the control beds. The rate of water penetration tripled. The number of earthworms skyrocketed from 3 per shovel at the beginning of the season to 18 by the end. One volunteer described finding a dozen worms in one handful of soil, something she had not seen in 20 years of gardening. The lad researcher called it the most dramatic improvement in soil health I have ever recorded. What cardboard offered was more than just compost. It was empowered life. To understand why soaked cardboard works so well, we need to go underground, where the real transformation begins. Shannon Rauter, Master Gardener and Small Farm Coordinator at Oregon State University Extension, explains that when installed correctly, corrugated cardboard acts like a living sponge beneath the surface. Those tiny ridges between its sheets, the same ones that give the boxes their strength, trap both air and water, the 2 things that soil life needs most. Microbes, fungi, and earthworms thrive in this microclimate. The damp cardboard prevents the compost from drying out, while the air pockets prevent it from turning sour. This balance of moisture and oxygen creates an environment where decomposition accelerates exponentially. As the kitchen scraps and grass clippings above begin to decompose, the cardboard below maintains a stable humidity, feeding billions of bacteria that break down the organic matter at an astonishing rate. The process releases nutrients almost instantly, a shortcut that nature rarely offers. Meanwhile, earthworms, attracted by the constant moisture, begin to tunnel through the layers, mixing materials and aerating the bed. Their tunnels expand the pore network of the cardboard, and their waste enriches the soil with nitrogen and beneficial microbes. Rauter describes the effect simply. The cardboard acts as a mattress for soil life. It holds water and oxygen, so worms and beneficial microbes stay where they are needed most and multiply like crazy. Tests have shown this. Cardboard not only speeds up decomposition but also suppresses weeds. Sometimes the biggest breakthroughs don't start in labs. They start behind apartment buildings. After years of struggling with a heavy, rusting compost drum that promised perfect compost but was mostly disappointing, I decided to try something different. That drum cost about $300, not including the hours spent turning it over and cleaning it every few days. The results were acceptable, but never spectacular. about 6 kilograms of tomatoes from a 120 by 240 bed by the end of the season. Last spring, I skipped the container entirely. Collected 6 discarded shipping boxes from the recycling pile, thoroughly soaked them and layered them with kitchen scraps and grass clippings. By mid-August, the garden told its own story. The tomato plants grew taller, fruited earlier, and by harvest time the scales showed 9 kilograms. A 43% increase from my best season changed everything. The soil became dark and alive, riddled with earthworms making fresh tunnels through the compost layers. After seeing these results, the cost gap became impossible to ignore. A new compost drum or smart bin can cost anywhere from $300 to $500, not including maintenance or repairs. The cardboard method, built from what most people throw away, cost next to nothing. For renters, students, or anyone short on space, it's a revelation. No cars, no power source, and no permanent structure. All you need is a few boxes, a hose, and scraps you already have. In a world where indoor gardening can seem like an expensive hobby, this method restores what composting was always meant to be. A simple, affordable, and regenerative solution creates independence. A garden that pays for itself with food, knowledge, and freedom from complex tools. However, independence still requires awareness because not all cardboard is created equally. For compost beds, use only plain brown corrugated shipping boxes, never glossy, waxed, or heavily printed. These shiny finishes and bright colors often contain perfluorinated compounds, heavy metals, and synthetic dyes. Before stacking, clean each box thoroughly, remove tape, labels, and staples. Even the smallest pieces of plastic can slow down decomposition and leach unwanted chemicals into your garden bed. If your garden bed ever starts to smell sour, don't panic. Add a dry layer of cardboard, straw, or leaves, and poke a few air holes with a garden fork. This simple step restores airflow and stops anaerobic bacteria from taking over the system. Within a few days, the balance will restore itself. Proof that nature always knows how to restore itself as long as we give it the right materials. After months of quiet work underground, it was finally time to see what all this invisible life had built. In one season, the results spoke for themselves. Cardboard lasagna beds produced crops 40% faster. The organic matter content of the soil increased from 2 to 3.5%, while the number of earthworms jumped 6-fold. The data, tested through parallel community trials, confirmed what the eye had already seen. Each box, once destined for the landfill, became a building block for a new life. Even soil scientists were amazed. The process turned discarded packaging into a living system that filters water and stores carbon. It was composting reduced to its essence, efficiency born of simplicity. Of course, questions remain, and future research is still examining trace contaminants in colored or waxed boxes. But when done correctly, using only plain corrugated cardboard in layers of 5 to 7 centimeters, the method remains one of the safest forms of home composting. The evidence is clear. With just soaked cardboard and kitchen scraps, gardeners can outperform expensive machines. It's a reminder that innovation doesn't always mean invention. Sometimes it means rediscovery. Simple, affordable materials are outperforming high-tech compost systems and changing the way we grow food. If you've tried this method yourself, share your results in the comments. Your experience may inspire the next gardener to start experimenting with natural solutions right in their own home.